We're going to move the agenda around just a little bit. So first on the agenda this evening is approval of the minutes. If you've had a chance to review those, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I have. I can make that motion.
I wasn't here. Could I still second it?
If you read them.
Okay. Yeah, I read them. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, and next we're going to go ahead and move into Pappas annexation.
Yeah, sure. We put on the agenda the Pappas annexation, and I wanted to make sure that there's no confusion that this is not the Pappas annexation off of Hartman Road, that 17 acres. This is, in fact, an annexation of some already owned property he has on Leeds Gate that he wants to bring in for building purposes. So we'll go over a little bit because we haven't talked about this for a lot of months. This is the property right here. We're on Leeds Gate. Dr. Pappas owns this property, and this property. He owns this property as well. That thick black line is the township. So he owns everything around that, but wants to bring that parcel into the city of Wadsworth. Why does he want to do that? Because he wants to build an expansion on his house, and his house is right there. Typically, you'll do that on a type 2 annexations. That's the ones we typically see. But we couldn't on this case because he was going to build a parcel or build a house on both parcels. So they needed to be all in the city of Wadsworth. There's different types of annexations. This is an example of a type 1 expedited annexation. The only purpose of this is so that he's permitted to build his house and expand it so it's on that property as well. When you have a type 1 expedited annexation, there needs to be a compensation agreement between the city and the township because they're going to be losing those tax dollars coming forward. We passed that last October, I believe. So there was a compensation agreement that is ready. Once that compensation agreement was signed by both parties, then you file it with the county. After the file with the county, then it comes down to us. It is held by Ms. Darlington for at least 60 days, and then it is laid before council. The next tomorrow at City Council is that first day it will be laid before you. Dr. Pappas is attempting to get construction done as soon as possible. He would appreciate a waiver and a call for that so that he can get his own property in for that construction purposes. Remember, whenever we talk about annexations, we talk about zoning coming after the property comes in. In this one, it is zoned and it will come in if you so vote to do that as Township R3. He can leave it as a Township R3 as he consolidates these and then starts to build it. So we don't have to do an immediate zoning change, which would require public hearings and all that good stuff. So that is the Pappas annexation that is going to be in front of you tomorrow. I can certainly answer any questions you have about that very limited type 1 annexation.
This was that piece that we talked about. It's landlocked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
It's all city.
Yeah, right, yeah.
These, there's no, you can't get that up to 261. It just doesn't connect there. So
There's no frontage at all on this piece,
yeah. And this, yeah, we had discussed this way back, yeah, okay.
so that's where we are in the process, just for the vote on it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
No, I do not.
Okay. We'll go ahead and jump back up to public
Oh,
participation.
you need a motion, I'm sorry, you need a motion to move something forward to
It's going to be
council?
by operation of law laid before council before
Okay,
you.
okay, so we
need
don't
a
have to do anything here, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and go with public participation. If anyone would like to address the committee, you can head to the...
I didn't sign up, but Bob Engler, Wadsworth Township trustee. I thought we signed off on this months ago. We made an agreement on the tax payment that the doctor was going to pay to the township. So has this been sitting on your guys' desk all this time?
Certainly, I can answer that. Once it gets filed by Dr. Pappas, there's a mandatory statutory period of 60 days that has to sit in front of us. Dr. Pappas is doing this himself without the benefit of legal counsel, so he got started a little bit later than perhaps he should have.
Okay.
But it has been filed, so we've been sitting on it as required by statute for 60 days.
Okay, yeah, I know we approved at the township the payment of the taxes. So as far as the township was concerned, yeah, we have signed off on that.
And that comes from the city. It does not come from Dr. Pappas.
Sorry?
That's a city payment, not from the
Yes,
doctor.
exactly. And we have to do that on our type 1 annexation, expedited, rather than our type 2 annexation. And we understood that he just needed that parcel in the city so he could build his addition on the house.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to address the committee this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to Vance annexation. Next steps.
Yeah, Vance annexation is a type 2 annexation. It was already agreed to. We have a pre-annexation agreement in place. So we've had all these conversations. Now we're trying to land the plane. We're trying to figure out or finish off all those annexations. It was put on, tabled at the last time we had the council after that 60 days, and now it's going to come off the table and it's going to be coming up for a vote for the type 2 annexation. So that's the first thing you're going to see. You're going to see that back in your life. One of the things I did say back then was I want to see all the different legislations all at the same time. We're unable to do that based on timing and based on, we did some legal research, and you cannot do a portion of it until it's come into the city already. All that to say is it's ripe for the annexation portion tomorrow. The PUD portion, that is the zoning, it's going to be in front of you tomorrow, or I'd ask that you put it on the agenda for tomorrow because there's an oral hearing or a public hearing that is needed. So that'll go 4 readings, but it'll give that opportunity to have that public hearing within 30 days. So that's, I think, it's already been submitted to Ms. Darlington from the law department. So we'd ask that the PUD portion be pushed onto the agenda so that they can talk about that. The third leg of that stool is the TIF, and the TIF is what pays for the road, pays for the water looping that will come all the way through there. That will be not on this next council, but hopefully on the council after that. You'll see the language of that TIF.
Okay, any questions?
So I just am not remembering, but we tabled that up, like, basically on your request because you were trying to bundle everything.
Yeah, we're going to table it so we can get all the
Okay.
stuff together at the same time.
And then we really can't do that, so it's back on.
It was tabled for this time anyway because
Yeah.
you've got 120 days
Okay.
to make that decision. That 120 days is coming up.
Okay.
So I want to get that up, and if you're willing to or able to waive the 3 readings, that's fine. And then pass that portion. We've already talked about that in the pre-annexation agreement. And then things will start popping up that'll come associated with that. The PUD, a public hearing, the TIF, and all of those things. And I'll explain it as we go.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Any general updates that's on the agenda? Is there anything else?
I'm certainly willing to answer any questions you have about what's going on. I will point out that there has been some cold patch applied to the target, that driveway, the Williams Reserve. So they've heard us, or someone's heard us, hopefully. So we're going to keep pushing that on that end.
Okay. Okay, presentation on green credits.
Sure. This is something that has come up over the past year when I've been talking to some of our corporations. We've got some great corporations here in the city of Wadsworth. We've got Ebner, we've got Radici Plastics, we've got Suprema, we've got Fives Group, and what do these all have in common? They have a parent company that's from Europe. So Ebner has Austrian parent company, Radici Plastics is in Italy, Suprema and Fives Group all have French parent companies. So some of the challenges that they have are different than some of the challenges our other partners and customers have. For them, a big deal is the European Green Deal and the European climate law. The EU has goals of being climate neutral by 2050. And so these parent corporations are pressuring their U.S. subsidiaries to try to meet those goals. There's an amp up as we go, so it becomes more and more pressing the closer we get to 2050. And they're asking for help, how they can achieve those goals. We have a little bit of a competitive advantage as we are an AMP community. Currently, 32% of our energy is produced as green. We've got hydro is 24%. That is partially from the Ohio River, some facilities that we have part ownership in. We have solar panels. We have some here in Wadsworth, in fact. And then we have 2.5% is from wind. I think that's in the Bowling Green area. So we have a little bit that they can work with and they can point to their parent corporations, but perhaps we can do better. EcoSmart Choice is a program that is set up through AMP where it provides green pricing program that's available to both residential and commercial electric consumers, and it lets them support renewable energy without changing providers. This is the easiest way that they can become net neutral carbon. And they do it through RECs, and RECs are, I can never remember it, renewable energy credits. Renewable energy credit is 1 megawatt of renewable electricity generated and delivered to the grid. They can be sold, they can be traded, they can be retired, and they're proof of renewable energy. It really doesn't make any sense without trying to see it on the big screen here. So we produce not only traditional energy consumptions through coal plants, natural gas plants, and other ways, and that all goes into the power pool. But we also have renewable energy generation that also goes into the power pool. These are issued a credit or a certification, a renewable energy credit, so that they are proof that these are stemming from a green source. If you are looking to purchase them because of concern for the environment, because of requirements by the Green New Deal for Europe, then you can buy those as the credits from the renewable energy. So it all goes into the same pool and it comes down, but these are limited and they will be retired after somebody purchases them and uses them. So to simplify it overly, there is a renewable energy generation from our solar fields here in Wadsworth. Every time a REC is created there from that energy created from our solar fields. If Ebner says that's important to us, they're going to buy that credit, which shows proof that it was from green energy. Once that is retired, you can't keep selling the same energy credit over and over again. You can sell it once. So for those customers that it's important for, they buy this credit. Then that credit is retired, and then we keep track of all the clean energy so that it's not resold on the market. This is the methodology that they can use when they go back to their parent companies and say, no, we are net neutral because all of our purchased electricity was from green energy. That is for industrial, and that's pretty easy. I have had people call me about doing this for our residential customers as well, so I wanted to look to see how big of a project would that be for us. We've brought it out, we've got Earth Day in 2 weeks, or in a week. So people, this will be in front of their mind if we can get it out at that time. So the question is always going to be money. Is it competitive to do that? So this is some numbers I pulled up from some of the AMP stuff that we're talking about. Over 23 to 24, Ohio Edison was about 19.2 cents per kilowatt hour, while Wadsworth was 12.6 cents per kilowatt hour. So almost a 35% lower, or 35% savings. These RECs would be an additional 0.04 cents up to 1 cent per kilowatt hour. So even if someone were to say, look, I want all green credit, or I want to do what I can for the environment, it would still be 33 to 30% lower than what some neighbors are paying in Ohio Edison. So very affordable and still get some of the results that we are looking for. So supports clean renewable energy development. There's no disruption to the current electrical service. You're not going to have a wire that's a green wire and a wire that's a regular wire. It all comes in from the same place. It's optional, it's flexible, there's no penalties for opting out, and it demonstrates environmental leadership on the part of Wadsworth. If you're interested in this program, there's going to have to be some legislation that's going to come from it. I'm going to have to create some legislation for you to look at it and say, we've got to create this program. The rest of it's on us to create a landing page so people can sign up for it. And then there's a process through AMP to get it taken care of. So That's essentially what it is, and I'm certainly willing or happy to answer any questions you may have about that program.
So we would even have the legislation, that's not just for the residential customers, that's for the program entirely, even if Supreme and everybody else wants to do it, we would need the legislation to do that.
Yeah.
It would encompass all, both in industrial and residential.
We'll create the program. Now, some people that have created some cities that have created this program, they just have one big industrial partner that's using it. Nobody else is using it. You can do that, and we can limit it just to our European clients. If you want to open it up to everybody, it's the same amount of work on your end to pass it. Then we can open it up to everybody and say, hey, everybody can buy an REC if they want to.
And then the actual, if a residential customer wants to purchase a credit with the extra penny or whatever, their benefit is what?
A lot of them, from what I'm saying, they want to know what they can do to be carbon neutral as best as they can. And that's a methodology for promoting green energy.
So I have a question, though. I mean, I don't understand electricity anyways. I just think it appears. But, I mean, it doesn't change what comes into your house, does it?
See, it all goes
I mean, what do
back-
they do with that money? Are you really doing anything?
Well, different questions. And remember, it all goes into the power pool.
So they
you're
just
not
have
gonna be
more
able-
money
not gonna be
to
able
promote, to grow those sources?
I think that's what it is.
Is that what it is?
That
More
extra
to
money probably
invest.
goes into a fund to invest in more
Okay.
renewable energy
Okay.
People are
infrastructure.
super interested in that.
Yeah.
What it does is it makes this comparatively more affordable than this, which promotes.
So it's a big,
that use.
long-term thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, short term, it's I can check that box and tell the parent company that's what I'm doing. Long term is we're promoting green energy as
Yeah.
opposed to coal burning energy, and that has long term effects on the planet and what have you.
So these industries would buy that credit?
Yeah.
It only takes them one credit? They basically buy...
They buy all their energy instead of
Right.
through.
And they are, at that point, they've already hit their goal for 2050?
They're carbon neutral.
Wow.
So this is a program.
In
that's-
Europe, not here.
Right.
That's in Europe.
Well, the requirements is a European requirement.
Yeah.
The requirement's
It's
not that here.
So I have a question about Radici because they're an Italian company,
Yeah.
but it's my understanding they've been purchased. Are you aware of that?
Not that I'm aware of, but may have.
What I've been told, maybe you want to look into that.
I did something with them about 9
If they're
months
no
ago.
longer a European company, I understand they were bought by someone here in the States.
Oh, good. They have, the European companies have these unique needs that we've got to end up driving over. Some affidavits that certain things were created there, so we have some more that we're pretty well equipped for, but I did not hear that they were purchased.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you want me to continue that process, I can certainly do that. If you want me to kill it here, I can certainly do that as
I
well.
would think that at least to help whether residential wants it or not, I mean, I think to help the larger companies, I think we do.
And it costs us nothing.
Right, it costs us nothing
Other
and
than
nobody's
legislation,
forced to
right,
do it.
right.
Well, I can
And
just,
whether Radici is still owned by an Italian, it's irrelevant. We still have 3 other companies at
Right.
least. And who knows what's going to happen in the future.
so before we go any further in this, I'll just say that this needs to be for service as well. They're actually our power source,
Okay.
so.
I just want to get it in front
We've
of
got to
you.
have more discussion on this before we even take up any legislation.
I'd be in favor of it.
Okay, so maybe we'll move it to different committees so they can take a look at it as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move into planning and zoning.
Okay, just 3 quick items. Planned unit development regulations and amendments to section 154-580. There are public hearings on both of those tomorrow night. I think we've talked about them a little bit in committee in the previous month. But basically, the revised PUD regulations, they were modeled after what was done for the pre-annexation in the Vance Farms annexation, and it, I think, improves our PUD regulations. You actually get a new planned unit zoning district with its own specific set of requirements as opposed to treating them like we have been the last 15, 20 years, which is an overlay, and it's not really been working out all that well. So have hearings tomorrow night. I don't know if there's any questions about either of those two right now.
None for me.
I don't know.
Okay. And then item, the 1C, that plays off of what Tom discussed earlier, Vance Farm Planned Unit Development. A Planning Commission is having a public hearing on that tonight. I assume if they don't receive any negative input or something unusual pops up that's going to require them to look at it, they will move that forward to council and recommend its adoption. So I think that's the ordinance that Tom wants to get on your agenda for tomorrow night for first reading, to
Okay.
kind of keep that going. And again, basically that the Vance Farm PUD regulations were already spelled out in the pre-annexation agreement. We're just codifying that along with a map showing what properties it's going to apply to.
Is that something we're willing to do, is pass, or put that in motion for the PUD for tomorrow's hearing? I think
Yes.
Darlington was perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Update.
then, one last thing, just, we've got the public storage facilities on ice right now. Looking into, just wanted to give you a little update of what I've found. And it's pretty much regulations are all over the board. I've been looking at what's going on in different Ohio communities. A few communities like us have a temporary moratorium while they look into it further. I found one community outside of Dayton that has actually prohibited these, and any facility that has already been approved in the past is now considered a non-conforming use. Some of the others, again, some have really very minimal regulations. Others have more strict design guidelines and landscaping requirements. So assuming that you want these things to continue, I think I'm going to focus on looking at design and landscaping type requirements that would minimize their visual impact to the community. So I think that's the right course. That's what I'll focus on, and just wanted to let you know kind of what I found. But there's really, you can open 10 different codes and find 10 different things that don't really match up.
How long do you think it's going to take to put something together?
Not too long. I think we have this, 180 days. I would expect in the next 6 weeks or so.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Any active project updates for engineering?
Just not a whole lot recently. We have just a quick update on things that are going on. New construction, we have seen some work, several projects going on Corporate Parkway right now. So if you were out there, you see lots of piles of dirt. There's 3 different projects going on, all in different stages along there. And then you see some recent activity also on High Street for the CAM development, the Westfield Bank site. That's
Yeah, can you just go over those developments for any, like what's going on? Some people may not know exactly what's.
Yes,
What the projects
so
are.
Westfield Bank on High Street, that's a combination, there's a bank pad for a future bank, there's a self-storage facility that's in the rear, and there's a pad that has yet to be determined as to what it will be. So there's essentially 3 buildings that are ultimately going to be there, and that's just kicking off construction now. On Corporate Parkway, there's a equipment storage facility. This is the first project that was to go out there. That's a little bit, as you're kind of down a little bit ways down on the right as you're going in. On the south side, right down the corner of, was it Rickman? There's a gymnasium that's going in there. That's just getting started. And then on the north side of the property, the Advanced Plastics has just gotten some work going on the north side. So very different projects there.
Okay.
So it's a brief update for that. And I do have one other thing to add for the agenda, if you don't mind. Just as a quick discussion point. We've been talking about the potential of I had come here about a year ago, and I came to the committee with a number of presentations to go through some of the regulations we were changing, and that seemed to be a fairly positive process that we did. And we've talked about maybe doing some sort of almost like a series of training sessions to bring to the committee to help you to be aware of, you and future committee members, to be aware of just of the things that come up and sort of almost like a coursework sense of having a schedule, so that rather than being ad hoc coming to you with, here's this crisis, and here's something to discuss with that, to maybe go through something a little bit with more methodically. We've just brainstorming that recently. Is that something that would be of interest to potentially help you to make better decisions and be a little more informed as we move forward? That would be a benefit.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't promise, any fun pictures or.
I'm sure there'll be something.
Yeah.
So we'd open that up to, if there are concepts or are areas you want to learn more about or you want to understand better, let us know, and try to put together a syllabus over the year, so that we can make some sense of it.
And then we could just let all of council know that on certain nights we're
They
going
wanna
to
be
present
there,
that. If they want to attend,
absolutely.
they can be there.
A couple other places we're moving dirt, just because I get this question all the time, is the sheets. The sheets it looks like it's getting done here pretty quick. Those parcels behind that, there has been nothing that has been formally announced about what's going in back there, but there are 3 parcels that are off of sheets, so don't believe everything you read in Wadsworth Neighbors. West Street, right over there on the other side, I've heard all sorts of crazy things about that. Those are 11 single-family dwelling, so that's residential. That is not a pizza place. That is not whatever else.
It's not Chick-fil-A,
It's not
right?
Chick-fil-A. But so that's what's going on there. These are things people ask me all the time. I'm sure they ask you.
And there's something, a big piece of, not that big, but a piece of land that's being cleared on Smoke Rise. Do you know what that is? Like,
Smoke Ridge, right at High Street?
yeah, it's next to,
That's the bank, that's
oh, that's
the
the
old
bank.
Valley
So
View
it's
towing
Smoke
site,
Rise. You said
yeah.
High Street.
High and Smoke Ridge is right, that's right at the.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's got frontage on both
Used
streets.
to be the
Oh, it
tow
does?
yard
Yeah.
back there.
Okay.
Used to be Wadsworth Tow.
Yeah, there's a driveway that comes and serves, there's a.
It's like kind of right,
Bank on the corner.
yeah.
It serves that, but it also serves behind.
Okay.
Which will go back to the self-storage.
All right.
And the bank access is more off of High Street.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for Glenn?
No, I do not. Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, we, other business, anything from the administration? Susan?
Nope.
Okay, one thing that I would like to bring up is, and just throw it out there for discussion, but is it time we start taking a new look at our comprehensive master plan? I think it's something we need to do. I'm not sure how we get started. I'm sure it's something that takes a long time, but I think council needs a fresh look at that, so it's easier to make decisions when we have annexations and stuff come up, and we're in agreement as to, how we think we should be developing this land.
Well, now's the time to start thinking about it, because, again, the last one was about a 2-year process.
Yeah.
So we need to think about it now, so it goes in the budget for 2026, and we can talk in future meetings about how, are you okay with the general format of the plan and we need to refresh it, or do you want to start from square one?
Is that something you typically bring a consultant in to?
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
could not do all this
Right.
efficiently with staff. So we are going to have to hire a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we're going to have to start checking around, getting
Right.
some estimates as to what that might, what that might translate to in 2026. But I think the first thing is that if that's what you want to do, make sure you got the money in the budget.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll
I
start
mean, I think we need to talk about it, and I think we should maybe as a group start looking at our current comprehensive master plan and talking about the things that would make it easier to understand, or what are the other ways people are doing it. I'm not a ED&P expert by any stretch of the imagination, so that's what we've been given to kind of look at. So
It's available online.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get a hard copy as well, so.
yeah, no, I mean as far as the way that it's presented, or the way, that was done a long time ago. I mean, I'm sure a lot.
Yeah,
has
and that
changed.
was a little bit different than how our previous one was done. A lot of the comp plans in the past would spend a lot of time on history. This is, And it's like, well, it's more of a forward-looking document, so we tried to transition it that way. But I think you're right, I think it still needs to be looking to the future, but also what's happened in the last 5 to 10 years that was never anticipated by that plan, you know?
That might be a good place to
what's
start.
For
going to
instance,
affect a lot of.
you know,
Yeah.
the whole COVID, the whole shutdown, now the work from home, retail has not panned out. Office space, I mean, we are overzoned for office and retail.
Yeah.
So what do? You know, and you know, really the plan kind of sets the framework or parameters of what you do, and then the zoning should reflect or advance those goals, you know. So just offhand, looking at a lot of our C3 districts, if there's really not a market for a lot of heavy, big box, large retail anymore, what do we do with that? Do you rezone it, or do you expand the uses in there to allow for things like apartment buildings or something else, rather than rezone it to residential uses only? So I think, you know, looking ahead, maybe some type of more mixed-use type districts might come out of this. But I think you need to look at what's happened in the past and what has or hasn't happened here in the city, and really what can we reasonably expect, you know?
Would you be able to put together kind of a roadmap / timeline of the next steps we need to do in order to try to get this kind of moving? Because I think it's something that, like you said, we've got a budget for it, but it'd be nice to know exactly what the plan is.
Yeah, I'll look back. I think I've still got some of that info from the previous plan. But yeah, it was a pretty big ordeal. But if we kind of know ahead of time that, yes, this is something we want to do in 2026, and we make sure the money's there, and we've got a kind of a good idea of what we want to do, then it makes putting out that RFP a lot easier.
Well, is there anything that we could do to get the process, maybe not formally moving sooner, but just to get us ready? Like, you know, like you commented on, there are particular zoning classifications that just aren't being used, or could we start to go through some sort of a informal?
One of the things I've been doing or trying to do is
Yeah.
I took the north end one time,
Yeah.
took the east end one time, just to see if there's things in there you don't like.
Right.
What changes do we have? We have some churches that went in that maybe we might be more appropriate to have higher density around those churches.
Yeah.
Some of those things. So you can still, this is a document that gives a recommendation. It is not binding. What you say is binding. So
Right.
you can see what it is now and what modifications you need. But those are the forward-facing documents that we give to all developers. So when
Right.
they say, hey, we're thinking about bringing in a
Yeah.
apartment, or we're thinking about bringing in a big box store or whatever, we say, this is what our comprehensive plan says you should do. If it's different than what we really think, we really have an obligation, if we want growth, to be accurate in that.
Yeah.
I would, just real quick, I've been through a couple of these procedures as well, and I would think that early on, the consultant's not going to help you with your
Right.
vision.
Right.
You're going to know what you want, what
Yeah.
it to look like. And so there could be some early discussions on what, really big picture.
That's what I'm thinking,
Very big
right?
picture things that are not in the minutiae. So that's something that we can, I'm sure, help you with quickly.
Right.
I will tell you that we have right now, we are soon to select a wastewater master plan consultant to do a wastewater master plan. We have a water master plan that's fairly recent, and then we probably want to do a transportation master plan. So infrastructure is a big part of that
Yeah.
process. So if we may have dreams about what we want to put there, but if there's no infrastructure or
Infrastructure.
funding to serve it, then it's all kind of moot. So all those pieces, so certainly the consultant is not going to do anything magical. They're just going to get everyone in the room to
Yeah.
help us make those choices.
Sure.
And you can certainly get started on those as that starts.
Yeah, and Glenn hit on two of the four items that I just quickly jotted down that should be important to look at. The one was infrastructure needs and the ability to service that, also roadway networks. Land uses, okay, that's probably lower on the list, but even things like park and rec facilities, and to me, connectivity, whether it's the streets or connecting the city parks, or
bike routes,
important
all that.
facilities, but yeah, but exactly, there's no sense planning, hey, we want this to happen here, but we don't, there's no way, there's not a snowball's chance of getting any utilities up there.
Well, and I think the traffic thing, that's an important thing. I mean, it may look like a great spot for something, but if the reality is the traffic would just not
Well, see,
work, or, and then what kind of change would be required?
Right,
yeah,
exactly,
to
and
make
that's
that
the
work.
thing, that, any bit of growth is going to have an impact
Yeah.
on traffic, so
Yeah.
it's like, you put your head in the sand and say, forget it, we're not going to have
Right,
any
'cause
growth.
we don't want any more
Or
traffic.
you plan for it to say, hey, here are going to be the major
Yeah, but this is
streets.
what would be
And
required.
these are some, and I think our current plans did that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Didn't concentrate a whole lot on the streets, but it did point out certain intersections or areas where improvements would be
Right.
needed to make it flow better. But yeah, I think infrastructure and roadways are probably two of the, the top 4 items.
Okay. Well, maybe we can put that on as an agenda item and keep talking about it and we're working towards something. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if there's nothing else, our next meeting is May 12th, 2025 at 5 PM in council chambers, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I second it.
We are adjourned.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.